Hello everyone, thanks once again for joining me on the channel, and this week it's going to be a little bit different. Last Sunday I set out on a journey early in the morning to go and pick up the deal of a lifetime. I mean, this thing was awesome. I'm going to give you a little hint. It didn't happen, I didn't get it, but it was an amazing deal. And it was a early Bronco, and it was only a few $100. The trouble was that it was really far away and it was an adventure to get there. I set out to get this truck. It was on the Ohio-West Virginia border. And I don't know if you guys know what's down there in that part of the country, but it's the Appalachian Mountains. It's the foothills. So it's kind of like the mountain range, which if you're from Ohio or even Michigan, Iowa, it's flat. Well, it's not flat down there. And taking my truck into those single lane, steep grade, gravel, mountain uphills and downhills, it was a challenge. There was a couple of moments there where I was a little concerned I wasn't going to be able to get out of there. Of course, I'm in four-wheel drive, and of course, the wheels are slowly sliding in the gravel, and I'm dragging the trailer, and literally dragging, like the roads were crested, and as they were crested, the center of the trailer was digging a furrow on the center of the gravel, and that's going up. So coming down, when the trailer actually started to drag and I was on the brakes, my truck would slide in the gravel going down these hills, and I wasn't anywhere near the place yet. But I pressed on and I kept going through these roads. Mind you, I'm alone and the cell signal's gone. I got nothing. So I just kept going, and the further I got in there, the more concerned I became, because I'm like, number one, I can't call for help. Number two, who the hell's coming to get me? Number three, I'm not sure where I'm going. So I get all the way to a spot where it looks like it kind of levels out, and we were up kind of high, and it was a T in the road. And the directions last I saw said go left. And when I got to that T, there was a single lane bridge, a covered bridge. And right on the other side of the bridge, it went straight up the other side, and I went, okay, I don't think this is happening. I got out, I stood on the back of my truck, I tried to get a signal, I texted the guy, and I was like, hey man, I don't know if I can make it back here. And he goes, oh yeah, I probably should have warned you about that. We have some tight roads. Yeah, you should have warned me about that. So I had to make a decision. I was not that far away, but I knew that if I put a truck on the back of my trailer, I don't know that I was ever getting out of that place. Probably, I might have been overreacting, but when it comes right down to it, the videos and the channel are great, but I'm not going to slide off a bridge, or slide off a mountainside into a ravine and have to have, number one, my truck replaced. Number two, you might get hurt. I doubt it, but you're going to ruin the trailer and the thing you're hauling. So to me, I just weighed it and I went, you know what? I'm not doing it. I am not doing it. I was like, dude, I don't know how any of you people can live back here. And I pointed that truck up and out. When I got back to a flat ground road, I texted him again and I was like, look man, if you want to put that thing down and bring it out here, I'll buy it off of you. Otherwise, I'm going home and I'm not ever coming back here. Like, you could tell me you're going to give me that truck for free and I'm not going back there. It'd be different if I was 20 years old and I didn't give two flying craps of what happened. And really the deal was good, but it wasn't like $1 million, The guy goes, yeah, we all live in the mountains. And I go, hey, not me, pal, not me. Once I made it back home, I was like, I really got to look at the brakes on this truck. And I decided to take a quick look at the brakes, which I did. I was able to, the rear wheels hadn't been off in years. I was able to pound them off with a sledgehammer. I had to actually pound both wheels off and spray them up with a bunch of, penetrant. Even with the adjusters all the way loose on the e-brakes inside of the rear rotors, I still struggled to get those off. But I did get them off and I cleaned everything up. I have new brakes on order for new rotors all the way around. We're gonna do drilled and slotted, and I gotta get some new tires too, but that's later. I can't do that right now. When I got this truck, these were in one of the door pockets, and the guy goes, I'm not sure what they go to, and I looked up the number, and it is the rear brake pads for this truck. So I know they're low. I'm gonna change them because they're here. They're already paid for, and this thing's gonna do a lot of towing in the next couple of days, so I gotta get on this. I worked my butt off that day to get my brakes cleaned up and everything put back on the truck. So next time I use it, which is going to be soon, by the way, I try to take good care of the vehicles that I use because I rely on them, you know, as we all do. One of the first upgrades that I made to this truck was this cold air intake, and it's an actual true cold air intake. Most of the time it's just a new tube and a filter, and it sucks engine bay heat, which is actually hurting your engine. I mean, it's not hurting it, but you're not gaining anything. Sucking in warm air loses power. So this box, at the base of it, it goes into the inner fender well, and it actually sucks air from in between the sheet metal, which is really good because it keeps out water and dirt, and it also gives you a real cool temperature versus what comes into the engine. So this actually increases power somewhere around 20%, is what they say. Bench racing, I go, yeah, it gives me 40 horse, I don't know. So that's one of the cool things. A lot of people will do exhaust, and I'm not doing exhaust because I want this truck to be quiet, and it is quiet. An engine is nothing more than an air pump, and power is a byproduct. It sucks air in and it blows air out. And while it does that, you can extract horsepower from the air pump itself. A lot of times what people with YouTube channels, what they'll do is they'll take their iPhone and they'll film what's called a short. And I didn't really want to do a short for this week because it's literally 20 or 30 seconds. And if you're doing, you know, a really short something, it kind of needs to be attention grabbing. And I didn't want to oversell this week's video because, let me tell you, it was tough to get anything put together for this week. And the reason is, if you think about it, when you upload this new schedule we're on, Thursday at 7 p.m., if you upload then, you literally have Friday to next Thursday, effectively 6 days, to find a build, travel to go and get it, bring it back, do the work and film everything, and then edit it and get it uploaded all in 6 days. And when you only have limited help, very limited help, almost none usually, it's tough to meet this schedule, but I'm going to try and do it. I said I'll give it 3 months. If I don't notice any difference after 3 months, I'll go back to my once a month videos, which is what I've been doing for, you know, years. And I do this more of a creative expression, but I would like to get a little more exposure because it ends up being money in the end, one way or the other. If you take into consideration, you know, your family, which fortunately our kids are grown, they don't really require anything from us anymore, and it's just her and I. You still need to allow for family time, and it's important, you know, and also recreation, going out and doing something. Sure, I love working on builds. I do not like doing basic maintenance. I've said that before. Basic maintenance is like just running a cheese grater on my knuckles. It's just not something I enjoy to do. Some of the more keen-eyed viewers might notice that trophy back there. That trophy was awarded to the 74 F100 that you've all seen on the channel, the Coyote swapped QA1 lowered thing I call the race truck. That was awarded at a local car show, but the morning we set out, today we're supposed to be judging a really big car show that we've been part of the judging team for the last 3 years running. But I don't think we're going to take this truck down to the car show today because it looks like it might be a wash, literally. Look at the dog. The dog's in the window over there wanting to know, where are we going, Dad? Nowhere, it's raining. So yeah, it was raining and it eventually stopped. And when it did, we threw the bike in the back for aesthetic purposes, and we drove that thing down into the town, and we parked it right in the city center. And being a judge, I couldn't judge on that truck myself, and it ended up winning an award on what's called People's Choice, where everybody writes a number on a ballot and sticks it in. And I think it won partially because they kind of know us, partially because they're familiar with the truck, partially because it is from Ireland. I don't know if you guys know that, but that truck did originate in Ireland a couple of years ago, and it's been back and forth a few times. Real good friend owns it, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. To win an award was great, you know, and I'm going to try and send that back with the truck. Even though it rained in the morning, so we thought that would put a damper on, literally damper, would put a damper on the number of attendees at the car show, but it really didn't change the turnout. The turnout was really good. And not only that, once it kind of sporadically rained, so people were out in the streets checking out the cars, and then it rained and everyone kind of scattered in, and then it stopped raining and everyone came back. So that happened a couple of times during the day, and it was cool, you know, they're like diehard car people. They really are. And they stuck around to the end, and we ended up awarding something like 21 trophies altogether for the numerous classes. There were a lot of cool cars, and when it's pouring rain, you really can't do a video, you know. You kind of got to keep your electronics dry, and it was really, really raining. But it was a great event. We got an award, and that was one thing that happened this week. I was planning on covering up the Sunday fiasco, going to the mountains, coming back empty trailered with the car show footage, but that didn't turn out. So sometimes these things, they don't turn out like you plan. So I have a couple of builds that are viewer builds. They're people that want me to do things for them, and I scheduled them for the winter. And the reason is, with all of the stuff that's going on, this new upload schedule of once a week, the regular job stuff that everyone has to do, there's just so much, and you know, without a group of people, it's tough. And to be competitive in this market, every time you turn on YouTube, you guys are inundated with all these videos of all these crazy cool things. And then here's me, little guy in a little garage, you know, doing little things. But, you know, the creative expression of it somehow gives me a sense of fulfillment. Plus, I really do like building things, and I like to share it, and hopefully sometimes people can learn some things. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So this week's video might not be Academy Award winning. I have next week's video already in the works, and if everything goes as planned, it's going to be a banger. It's going to be a good one. I don't want to give too much away because I want you to tune in next week and take a look and see what's going on. But if it turns out good, it's going to be action-packed. And if it doesn't, it's going to end up being another highlight reel of some of the older videos, which is exactly what I'm going to do right now. For the people that need a little more content, you may have missed this video that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to edit it down so it's a little shorter, a little more palatable, easier to watch. I'm going to set that up for you guys, so along with this week, you get a little bit of rerun, and maybe it's new to you. Maybe you're new to the channel. Maybe you didn't see it before. But I want to share that with you just to kind of close out the week and get us going for next week. So stay tuned. Check this out. Thanks. I'll see you soon. Hello YouTube. We're making this video today because I wanted to fill you in on what's been going on with that International Metro van. Lately it's garnered a lot of attention on the internet, and the reason is it showed up for sale again on eBay right after we just finished it. Well, here it is months later, and it's quite the climate change, but I want you to stay tuned, watch. Let's talk about this Metro, see where it's been and what's going on with it. Before you know where it's been, you need to know where it came from. And if you haven't seen the other videos, everything these days is a barn find, isn't it? Well, not this one. This one was a find, but it was found in a parking lot in Southern Ohio, and all of my friends told me I was crazy, so I passed on it. I didn't buy it right away. But what I did do was go back to my computer and constantly, for hours on end, try to find something that would go underneath one of these Durango chassis. Because I love these trucks, and I already had this. So what would you do with it? I was gonna do this. But no, we ended up going back and getting this Metro van. I don't know why. The thing was just screaming to me. Every time I closed my eyes at night, that van was going, go back and get me, go back and get me. So that's exactly what we did. We went and got it. And unbeknownst to me, there were people that were looking at this truck. They wanted to buy it. They loved the way it looked. One of the relatives of theirs drove by and sent them text pictures of it, and they were all aghast how cool it was, but it was too far gone. It needed too much work, so it was too much for them at the time, and they passed on it. Well, right after that, my buddy and I showed up. We bought the thing, and we drug it home here, and we had to straighten it out in the driveway. As you can see, we're pulling it around. But the cool part about this story is, do you know, when we finished it and we sold it to the couple that bought it, it was the same couple that passed on it
before we got it. So it's like magic, it's like kismet, it's fate, whatever you want to call it. It was supposed to happen, and it was really cool that it did. So keep watching. Check this out. I feel kind of honored that I was able to facilitate the vehicle that they really wanted, and somehow the two were brought together in the end. And this is one of the ways we did it. Was we had to rebuild the motor. All these trucks that I end up with, there's something wrong with them. That's why I get them. This Divco was inspiration for the build. So what I did after seeing it at a car show in Columbus was I ran back and I started chopping this one to bits. We had to get that big hulking body off of the thing. But how? We don't have a lift. We're in the gravel. What are we going to do? Well, construction ingenuity, pal. That's what. We built scaffolding and we decided that work or not, we were doing it. Being from the generation that we're from, we're Gen Xers. You know what that means? You just try it. Hold my beer, watch this. Yeah, well, not quite, but similar.
I cannot believe this fucking work. You've lifted stuff up before, but nothing like this.
That's right. We've never picked anything up like this before. But I'm glad it worked, because once we got it lifted up in the air, all I had to do was drive that chassis underneath it. Do you feel safe doing it? Not always, but you know what? Again, from where we're from, it ain't that big of a risk. Hell, the thing's hanging in the air already, so let's just see if we can get this chassis up underneath it.
All right, right there.
Man, that thing sounds good. And you know we did get it underneath of there, and we did all the work necessary to marry the two, and it actually came out a little bit better than we thought, because at first, literally, we were just winging it. I mean, I've done plenty of things like this before, but we weren't sure how well it was going to work, and it ended up being a little bit better than we thought. Now, anything can be done to a high standard, and you can keep going, but these types of builds that we're doing here, these are not huge money builds. These are fun, fast, safe, and it's awesome. I mean, look at the way that turned out. We gave this thing a new lease on life. It was sitting in a parking lot, and before that, a field. It was never going to be back on the road again until it made me buy it. And now we know why. So we got the thing on the road, and we took it to a car show. We started putting it all over the internet because it's cool. I mean, we got gas. This car show that we took it to, you couldn't keep the people away from it. They were walking past $100,000 shiny builds to stand next to our big ugly. And it was so much fun that it's no wonder that bringatrailer.com actually ran an awesome piece on it. It got it tons of attention. It caused the YouTube video to blow up, 150,000 views in a very short time. Why? Because it's cool. It's so cool. And not to mention, people love it. You can't go anywhere without them staring, and it's badass. Right. So all of that combined, when the owners told me they were selling it and could they use my images and write up, I said, sure, no problem. And they did, and Barn Finds picked it up, and while they quoted it as a 69, the impact that this truck has made on the internet and on people around, you know, the next time your friends tell you that you're crazy for buying some piece of junk, just buy it anyways and build it, and check our other videos to see those trucks, because you could have 150 some thousand views based on nothing but a dream.